his wife Beatrice, and a doctor, Obinna Obeta, have been found guilty of facilitating the travel of a young man to Britain with a view to exploiting him. According to the London court, the three persons criminally conspired to bring the 21-year-old Lagos street trader to London to exploit him for his kidney. Their daughter, Sonia Ekweremadu, was however found not guilty. The prosecutor, Hugh Davis, KC, told the court the Ekweremadus and Dr. Obeta had treated the man and other potential donors as disposable assets. It's the first verdict of its kind under the UK Modern Slavery Act. Let's now go over to London, where our correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, who's been following this case, will be bringing us an update. Hello, Juliana.
Hi,
hello, Juliana.
Hi, Bukola, from the Old Bailey in London, where, as you just pointed out, we had a mammoth update from what I can only describe as an absolutely chaotic trial involving the former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and three other defendants. Three of them have been convicted by the 12 men and women that make up the jury. They were all found guilty, as you said, of the first case of its kind in the United Kingdom, this modern slavery act. Let's just cast our minds back, shall we? Because it has been a case that has stirred two nations, Nigeria and the United Kingdom. And I can tell you, we've just missed the pack of press that were here. All major British establishments have been following this pretty convoluted case during the trial. So many individuals, so many names were presented to the jury, many of whom British citizens that were in Nigeria and couldn't be traced. But this is all about Sonia Ekweremadu, the 25-year-old daughter of the senator who has a debilitating kidney disease. She was found not guilty today. And in fact, when the jury were reading out the verdict, she wept profusely when she found out that she could walk freely from court. Not her daughter, not her mother, though, Beatrice Ekweremadu, the 56-year-old accountant. She has been found guilty of being part of this organ harvesting plot. That was in the public domain summer last year, when we found out that the Ekweremadus were arrested en route back from Turkey to Heathrow Airport. We were then told that a young individual who still cannot be named for legal reasons was plucked from the streets of Lagos by who we know was Obinna Obeta. Obinna Obeta has been found guilty today. He was based in the United Kingdom working under the books. I think it was reported earlier that he was a general practitioner, but now, of course, that the verdict has come in, I can give you more details about the case. This Obinna Obeta, who was a significant middleman in facilitating the travel and the exploitation. And unfortunately for the Ekweremadus, we can say exploitation because they have been found guilty of these crimes under the laws of England and Wales. He was working alongside Diwe Ekweremadu, who is still very much wanted by British police. He is in Nigeria. He is a brother of the senator, an old classmate of Obinna Obeta. Obinna Obeta, this 50-year-old gentleman who was working in the United Kingdom illegally, had a kidney transplant of his own. And the kidney transplant that Obinna Obeta had was donated by a friend of this alleged victim, who we cannot name. And in fact, we no longer calling him an alleged victim. He is a victim of exploitation, and KC Hugh Davis was successfully able to convince the court, convince the jurors that the senator knew exactly all along what he was doing, that he used his power, he used his might, and he used his wealth of contacts to exploit this individual, using him as a commodity. So what they've been accused of and convicted of is criminally conspiring to bring this individual to London. He was taken from where he was working as a market trader to Abuja for tests. This victim claims he was never ever told that he was going to be donating his kidney. He was offered an opportunity to restart his life in London by Obinna Obeta, who lured him into the British capital, offering an opportunity for work. It was whilst he was here and he was brought into this country by the Ekweremadu. It was whilst he was here that he said he was basically treated like a slave. He was taken into the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead, where doctors were suspicious. In fact, Bukola, you know, the case is so convoluted and complex, and it involves so many people, including an interpreter who was paid, I believe, £1,500 by the Ekweremadus to try and convince or persuade doctors that this young man knew exactly what he was doing. Of course, alarm bells were raised very, very quickly. Even though lies were told to try and convince doctors that this individual was a distant cousin of Sonia Ekweremadu, they didn't believe that was to be the case. When this individual told Dr. Obinna Obeta that his donation wasn't to be successful, he said he was then treated very much like a slave. He had to run away. He spent 3 days homeless, roaming the streets of London until he handed himself into Staines police station in Surrey in South London. This is still very much a developing story. Although we have been covering the case over the past 7 weeks, we've been in court throughout the trial. Unfortunately, we were not in court today. It was only Monday that the judge was giving his directives to the jurors. The jurors retired on Tuesday. It took them less than 14 hours to make this conviction, and so it's unraveling as we speak. And I believe sentencing is not going to take place until May.
I was going to ask about sentencing, but now that you've clarified that, Juliana, I'd also like you to clarify this significant detail from the story. It has it that the Ekweremadus and Dr. Obeta had treated the man, the unnamed, the individual that we cannot name, and other potential donors as disposable assets. Does this mean that there were other potential donors that were tested as well?
That's absolutely right, Bukola. We can provide you that information now that they have been found guilty. One of the reasons why the Metropolitan Police decided to take pretty much a huge arsenal onto the plane when they made arrests is that they were privy to text messages. In fact, we had over 2 years of text messages and WhatsApp information read out as part of evidence in court. When they realized that this 20